of gloves is, well, oh, there it is. I'm trying to think of it. All kinds out there. Asking to get me some gloves. Oh, do. Well, hello, Mr. Frog. Just had to track down my gloves here. Hello, Odin. Getting some regulars popping in. So, I'll just take a moment and we will jump right in. So, hello Frank, how you doing? Hopefully everyone is well. Medieval Dragon. Yeah, we've got new people popping in, so why don't we just jump right in then? So, we're going to keep things simple in the sky, and we're just going to add a little bit of brightness out there and do some stars. And that's pretty much all we're doing in the skies today. No clouds necessary, not today. So, similar process to making clouds though, since I'm just going to be kind of coming over with like a slightly brighter blue, and just kind of here and there to add some brightness to the sky. That will be kind of blending and adding some stars. So I'll put some over here. Start with that, see where that gets us. So this on here where I put my handy dandy 1-inch oval brush. There it is. I knew I just had it. Just checking in before bed. Well, I wish you could stay longer, Mr. Medieval, but I do understand the need for sleep. I really do. And since we're not aiming for clouds here, the actual shapes of these aren't the most important. And we're going to kind of come over these with kind of soft little X's anyway. Just to kind of soften that and make it a little bit vaguer. And since I want it extra soft today, we're going to grab our little mop brush, because nothing, in my opinion anyway, gives me a softer blend than when I'm using my mop brush. And let's see. I haven't fully decided how far down I want my sky. I know it can't go past like right about here. It's a little tough to know exactly where I should put my horizon today. Can't leave it too high. I don't want to bring it down too low either. So maybe I'll just kind of strike a medium balance here and come in with just a little bit more kind of bright spots here and there. We'll put one like right there. Had to make sure I got the opening salvo of likes in. Oh, well, thank you. I do see that I apparently have a 1,000 likes already. So appreciate everyone tapping the screen and checking in the comments section. All those things help more than you know. So, might get a teensy weensy bit purpley down there just because I do have some alizarin crimson on my prepped canvas. This canvas was black. Well, it was white, then I painted it black. And then I put my undercolors on once that dried. So I've got some Van Dyke brown on the edges, some alizarin crimson, and just a little speck of Indian yellow there in the middle. And for whatever reason, a lot of green paint on the edge of my brush that I'm going to clean up real quick. Because I don't remember dipping the edge of my handle in green paint. Maybe I can even show you guys, like, just green paint on my brush for some reason. Also on my hand because it got on my brush somehow. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what I did. So, just clean up my little paint mess here real quick before I get green colors where I don't want green colors. Alright, I'm just gonna whoosh and swoosh and blend. And that one too, whoosh. Alrighty. Gonna grab some liquid white and make some stars real quick. And let's see. I gotta throw in a little bit of a distant mountain. Very distant, but it does need to be there. So says me anyway. So I'm just getting some liquid white on my palette. So hold fast, guys. Hold your horses or your dragons, you know, whichever. I'm not sure if Miss Mel will be with us or not either. I can't remember what shift she said she was working today. Other than I think she did end up having to work today. So, how is everyone doing tonight, though? Important questions. That might be a touch too much, but I'll just take what I need and leave the rest. Maybe pull up my overalls so I don't get paint where I don't want paint. Alrighty. Although this technique I always have a better, do better when I put my palette down real quick. So we're gonna make some stars. And I just make sure I get the excess paint off my brush. I just take liquid white and I thin it out a little bit. And then I just tap off the excess paint onto my palette so I avoid larger splatters. It can still happen, but it's a lot less likely. Anyway, look at all those stars. They're so pretty. I'm watching you, a baseball game, and at work. There you go, doing well. Oh, hey, look, another Katie. How about that? Doing all right. Sent the lab just in case. Appreciate it. So, glad everyone seems to be doing all right this evening. That is always good news. Hopefully we can enjoy a nice little painting this evening. So, let's see. I want my... It's either a small filler or it's a round tip brush. I guess I don't know what the exact technical name of this little brush is, other than it works rather well for making distant mountains. And since that's what I'm doing, this is the brush I'm going to use. We're going to start kind of coming over here. And we're keeping this centered. We do not care if these peaks go all the way over or not, because there's going to be other stuff on the edges, and it's just really not going to matter if they go all the way edge to edge or not, since you wouldn't see what goes all the way on the edges. So I'm just going to put a couple little bits here. We're going to blend it far enough to either side that you get the hint that it would go all the way over if you could just see past the eventual trees that are going to be blocking your view. But we're not actually going to show everything in terms of the mountains. Just kind of come in, soften these lines, blending it this way and that way and that way and this way. And just for funsies, we're going to put one more itty bitty peak right in front. We're going to make that one maybe just a hair brighter. So. Like that. Grab just a little bit more white paint so I keep that brightness. You'd be surprised how quickly white paint absorbs that undercolor and starts darkening the more you work it into the color. Doesn't stay bright very long unless you make the extra effort to reload your brush and clean off the darkness. I'm okay with this absorbing some of that background color. Since it's in the background, it doesn't have to be the brightest, most clearest thing out there. But just as a heads up, it is helpful. I'm gonna clean off my regular 1-inch brush here real quick. Mel is working and asked me to keep the stream safe. Appreciate it. I really ought to, I need to actually, I think, Odin, at some point I should give you the actual, what are they called, moderator privileges, because you'd have to be able to mute people, if need be, or pin comments, but that is up to you. But you're here pretty often. So. Alrighty, so 1-inch brush, nice and clean. I'm just gonna pull this down. And the only reason I wanted my 1-inch brush clean for this to start and not my mop brush is just because I had that more distinct point. And a mop brush is great for softening things. And the particular size I have of mop brush doesn't get into those little more detailed spaces very well. So that's all. Still gonna come back in afterwards though and just kind of soften that. Yep, see, I touched it. Alrighty, so there is that. Doobity doobity doo. Let's see. Whoopsie, there goes my brush. I'm really good at dropping things today. So, I've got this nice dark greenish, bluish brownish color. It's a pretty dark color, but the base color is green. It's in the back. And I'm not going to do much back here, but we are going to throw in just a little bit of a foothill situation. Just a little. I'm going to keep these trees short. They're way back here, but you can tell they're there, so we're going to put them there. We're going to brush vertical, just kind of pulling the paint upwards. That's what's going to make these distant trees look like distant trees. And then just taking some of that paint at the bottom, swooping it sideways, or more horizontally, give them somewhere to sit. And then I'm just going to take that color on a big old 2-inch brush and just make not even, I'm not going to make any more trees, but let me just, there we go, kind of load that up there nicely. We're just going to kind of tap in a little bit of a grassy area. I don't want to do too many of these because, like I said, this is not the closest thing to us. And a lot of this edges, they're about to become trees. So, different big old 2-inch brush. I'm going to grab my palette knife here. Thank you for everyone who's liking the chat and doing those little the gifter badges. Appreciate that. Anyway, if I try to get to where you guys can see me, I've got Van Dyke Brown on my palette, and I've got Alizarin Crimson. I'm gonna grab some crimson and some brown. I might need more of both of those colors, so let's go get a little bit more crimson and a little bit more Van Dyke Brown. That's the undercolor that I have. Alizarin Crimson and Van Dyke Brown on the edges and kind of in the middle there. I kind of want this a little bit more red though. And we're gonna mix in a little bit of, let's see, I've got two palettes of the same color. Silly me. Why'd I do that? Anyway, hardly a problem. We're mixing in a little bit of yellow ochre too. But we're keeping this initial highlight color a little on the darker side. So we're not gonna mix in hardly any white. Just enough. Just enough. So I'm gonna scrape that away, because this is what we're going to highlight with. Our initial tree shape is just going to be the Van Dyke Brown and Alizarin Crimson, which is already on my undercolor, but I don't have any tree shapes down yet. So I'll try to get back where you guys can see me. This is a little tricky. The space is not ideal for this, but we're just pulling the brush through the paint. And we are going to pick, let's see, we've got something over here, and maybe it comes up here. We're going for shapes though. These don't have to be the most precise tree shapes, they just need to kind of look tree-ish. So you're just smushing the paint into the canvas in something vaguely tree-shaped. Reloading your brush, pulling it straight down as needed. So I happen to want some overarching kind of business going on here. Just kind of framing in some of this mountain. So I didn't want it to go too far one way or the other, because I knew we'd be covering it up. Not all of it, otherwise why would I put it there? But sometimes you gotta come in front of these things. You're probably thinking I'm half crazy right now, but it's okay. So, dripping liquid white. We'll put some stuff right there. Can't hardly see that at all, but it is supposed to be something of a background thing. So, let's see. I have a second 1-inch brush that lives around here, apparently, since I don't see it. Even though I know I had it like not that long ago, because I was just cleaning it off before my life started. 1-inch, 1-inch, 2-inch, 2-inch. It's a good thing I don't spend a lot of time around snakes. I'd be getting bit all the time. Here it is. Holy cow. Anyway, I'm trying to grab a little bit of titanium white and a little itty bitty bit of that yellow ochre. And we are going to start brightening this spot. You want it brighter? Grab more white. And just come right back in, blend it out. You probably really think I'm going crazy now. I didn't even finish my trees yet. It's all part of the chaos plan. All part of the crazy. not done a scene like this in a really, really long time. I think I've done something similar to this once. It was a bit similar but different. I need to clean off. This might work. I just gotta clean off my blendy brush here real quick. My little mop brush needs a little bit of a cleaning. So, but I need that spot of brightness. That bright light color is what it's gonna end up being. Needs to kind of be part of the background. And I can layer my highlights and my trees and stuff. You know, we can start working in layers. But that brightness is probably more of a mid-ground thing like these trees are about to be. So that is a base undercolor. And so I need that down there before I start adding a bunch of highlights and details. So, let's have to extend a little bit of trust. Thank you, hello. So I'm gonna start with the brightest spot here. And like I said, if you want it brighter, you can just go back in and add some of that brightness back. Or not really back, you can just, you know, go and brighten it up some more. I'm thinking that might be an adequate level of brightness for me though, so we'll see. Some of this can turn into little bits of land that's just kept in some brightness. People have been asking for campfires, and I think it's mostly Odin and Mr. Frog, so I gotta brush the darkness off my brush here real quick. Otherwise, I'm going to darken my bright spot. We don't want that. That would be silly. Clean, dry brushes, or clean enough dry brushes, are what you want to be blending with. So, brush the darkness off of my 1-inch brush as well. Same reason, you're going to get that excess darkness off. Otherwise, you're going to have too much on there. So we're just going to make this spot a little bit brighter. Just a little. Just about like that, I think will be perfect. So, we're just going to work our way outward. And just blend this a little bit better. Kind of come in here with some circles. There we go. Your colors aren't being pulled together with the X's. You can do some little circle motions. That can sometimes help those colors blend together a bit better. I certainly think it helps. Alrighty. We're not doing much with the bottom here yet. That really doesn't matter right now. Really, really doesn't. So, I've got paint all up in my elbow right now because my liquid white was running away from me. We are going to start highlighting some trees. But we're going to focus on the background ones. So we're going to keep our highlight color bright enough to see, but not so bright that it jumps into the foreground. Hopefully I can strike a good balance and you guys see what I mean. So, just going to load up that color. It should be, if I got it, just bright enough to see. Let's see. Why don't we start over here? That's a nice color. I think it will do what I need it to do, which is just going to be to kind of frame, add some highlights here and there. I am also going to take my 2-inch brush, just because I know I'll be able to come in here at the bottoms here and change the shapes of some of these highlighty bits towards the bottom before coming back with my other one, my little 1-inch brush. So, just kind of round out the bottoms there. Add some trunk here momentarily, kind of give that tree some more shape, but we're not there yet, so we're not going to worry about it just yet. That's just something I need to try and keep in mind as I'm dropping in these little pockets of brightness. This is not the closest tree to us. These highlights don't need to be the brightest thing. So, the closer we get to the fire, the closer they will be being seen. So, why don't we get some sort of, let's see, branches and trunks and all that good stuff that hold these leaves up. I'm going to start dropping in some of those. I just grabbed a little bit of liquid white and mixed it into that same dark brown mixture, by the way. Not doing anything crazy with these background, or mid-ground, maybe more technically speaking, tree bits. Just bright enough to see. Just with the liner brush too. We're not doing anything super fancy. We're just adding some details. Maybe this branch is a bit thicker. Maybe it holds up a lot of these sort of distant tree branches. Doobity-doobity-doo. Don't want to spend a ton of time on these guys, but just to kind of give the leaves somewhere to live. So let's see, we'll put a couple of these out here. Maybe that one goes over there. This one has a branch here and there, and over here. Some of these I'm going to leave a little bigger and just drop in little trunks that don't really appear to go much of anywhere. Since there's going to be stuff in front of them, they don't really have to go anywhere. They just need to sort of be there. Adds to the distance and stuff. So why don't we grab that darker base color again that we dropped in some of these trees with, come in here, just kind of re-put that shape in. It got a little smushy, but it's all right. And we're gonna leave maybe this one's gonna come up just a little bit like so. Yeah, like just like that. That might not look like much to you guys, but we're gonna cut in front of these. Just like that. Same dark color. I'm just kind of putting some of these things back in. So where does this one live? What the heck? I'm gonna borrow from over here. This one's getting pulled forward. Not coming in front of every far away thing that we just put in. But we do have to push that back a little bit. And I do have, although they got a little lost, so we'll just kind of put those back as well. There's some bushes that live out here. Alright. Let's brighten our highlight color. I'm gonna grab, let's see if I can do this. A little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of liquid white. We're gonna grab some of that highlight color from before. Kind of grab that all together. I might even want just a little bit more that liquid white mixed in there. See if I can't get like a nice orangey color. Yeah. Might have to scoop that up at some point and rework it, but so let's start over here. Trying to keep your tree shape in mind while working in these little sort of pockets of light. You can kind of have like little bits here and there. Since it's not all going to be the same level of brightness. So let's see. Using the edge over here. More of that light, which is why the color had to change. So you can kind of come over here with the edge too. Trees have all sorts of different shapes. Sometimes you have to use a different part of your brush while you are making the different shapes. I go from using the blunt side of my paintbrush to like more of the edge on the broad side. Making sure I leave room for the darkness. It's a pretty dark scene. I can't light up everything. Or I shouldn't light up everything, I should say. Could, but should not. Probably shouldn't have too much of the flammable bits near what's going to be fire, so I'm going to get the darkness off my blendy brush and just kind of blend out some land here real quick. Soften up the bottom. Maybe put a couple little rocks in there. We'll do our rocks in a moment though. Let me just grab that liner brush I had a moment ago. Drop in some more chunky bits. So, some right there, right there. Those particular leaves are a bit more behind my branches. At least that's what it looks like. At least in that one spot anyway. Add some trunk and branches over here too. Sometimes you are going to have to cut more purposely in front of your leaves as well. Some of them get to live more in the front and some of them are just going to have to be pushed a little to the back. Okay if the branches don't look like they all meet up. As long as they look like they make some sort of sense, that's all that really matters. It doesn't have to be perfect. How many things in nature are truly perfect? We just think that out of our own perceptions. But nature is not perfect. Not really, anyway. It's full of all these little imperfections. Then, around the tops and bases of your sticks, you can come back here, maybe not with all of them, but some of them. Add in just a little bit of extra highlight, just to kind of blend them in there a little bit. Like I said, we're not covering up everything. We're just kind of framing in some of it here and there. Gotta leave room for the darkness to exist, especially on a nighttime scene. Why, thank you. So, probably should give our bushes a couple of sticks too, don't you think? That might make sense. They just had a couple of sticks here and there coming out of the shadows. And I'm just using my liner brush today. I sometimes do this with a palette knife and some liquid white too, but I'm just using my little liner brush today. can use whatever you want. If you were to find yourself painting a scene at night. I'll do the same thing over here and just kind of add in a little bit of bush highlight towards the bottom here just to kind of help keep the sticks in place. Throw in some little bottom sticks towards the base. They don't have to be super visible, but just to throw them in there, here and there. Alrighty, and then just kind of like a little bit here and there. Popping in those just little bits. Push those sticks. They don't just come out of nowhere. That's all I'm really doing, is just making it look like they still come out of the bush and not just thin air. So, nothing too crazy happening there. Oh, well, hello. Thank you for the wows and looking goods. So, why don't we throw in a couple little rocks? I think this looks like a forest fire waiting to happen if I don't throw in a few little rocks. We don't want that. So I'm going to throw in the shape, maybe over here. Just some kind of rocky dirt. Maybe back there it's just dirt, and it comes up into a rock. Something like that anyway. We'll add some highlights here, don't you worry. Probably don't need too many highlights for our little rock friends here, but definitely some. Let's see if we can't just brighten it up a little bit. Almost at 2,000 likes, guys. We're pretty darn close. Don't forget to tap the screen, although I'm pretty sure most of you are. But it is helpful. Go get a little bit more of that same little highlight color. I really just added a little bit more yellow ochre into that same kind of reddish brown mix from earlier. So we're keeping it pretty simple here. More warm tones. We just kind of pull back with our highlights. And we'll just kind of, well, not enough paint on my palette knife. And drop in a couple little. giving these guys a little bit more shape with the highlights. Doesn't take but a moment. Now, let's see, what would be the best way to go about my fun little bit of fire? Need some white, need some yellow. I'm gonna have to layer this at least a little bit. Bippity boppity burp. We'll do like just a couple colors here. I'm pretty sure I can come in here with a palette knife and just kind of come in here and add a little bit of color that I can then kind of shape more with like just, oh, what's that? I can't think of the brush name right now. Probably my liner. Just lost my words there for a second. Some of this together. Do you want like a couple spots where it's just like, yeah, just like more of a bright, nice yellow. Yeah, there we go. Doesn't that look delightful? Oh, well, hello. It was Evil J Studio. Hi. I feel like it's been a minute since you popped in here. How you doing? I am getting so much liquid white on my elbow today. You picked a fun painting to pop into. I think so anyway. So, if you've ever made a fence with painting, you can make some logs for your campfire to sit on. It's the same technique. You even highlight it just the same. With a slightly brighter color and just touch. And we have a campfire. Isn't that delightful? I think it's delightful. We should probably put some bushes and stuff over here too, though. Wouldn't you think? Some stuff that is perhaps a bit closer as I wipe paint off my elbow for the umpteenth time. Although I honestly don't know why, because I have paint on the edge of my palette, which is the more where the paint problems coming from. Well, so before we get too far ahead, I'm taking a drink of my drink. Pardon me. Oofda. Let's see. Grab the rest of that Van Dyke Brown and Ultramarine Crimson. We're just gonna mix that into our undercolor, but we're gonna make sure we use some nice, bright highlight colors to really make these closer bushes and things pop. So why don't we make sure we leave room for the light to peek through. Otherwise, we can pop in some bush shapes. Maybe right there. Something definitely lives right there. Perhaps comes around like so. I want to frame this out, so maybe this one comes up a little taller. Alright, so we've kind of framed that out a little bit. This one I have to make it pop up just a little bit. Same with this one. This one's going to come up a wee little bit higher. So that's where those are going to live. Before we get too far, I'm going to clean off a 2-inch brush here. Take but a moment. Might want to have some water by your fire. So let's see. A little bit of brightness, a little bit of yellow. So. How close this gets. I didn't exactly decide where my horizon, not my horizon, my water line was going to be. So, but it does need to be brighter as it's closer to the fire and darker as it's a little farther away. Leaving some of that darkness under the bushes intact though. Puzzle piece? Not yet. Thank you though. Thank you. I know Mel usually does that for me, but not yet. Hopefully not at all, but I should keep my eye out for it. When I forget about it, that's when it's going to get me. I wonder if that will ever actually stop. Sure would make me happy if they just stopped doing that to me, but probably not. Alrighty. So, that delightful little bit we are going to consider done for now. Clean up our other 1-inch oval brush, and we're going to mix up maybe more of like just a bright yellow ochre color. I might even just be able to use my yellow ochre color by itself. But it's a thinner paint for me. To navigate my palette. Alrighty. Mix in a little bit of liquid white just to thin that up a little bit. Since I know I need this a little bit thinner. just touching. Keeping the brightness closest to the fire. Or at least on the side of it closest to the fire. It's kind of like highlighting a tree. They're bushes. There's going to be a bright side and a shadowy side. But we're not really going to do a shadow color. I'm just going to let it be shadowy. Really, anyway. And since I'm working with this brush now, I can even come in here and there, just touch up a couple of these little, not worry about that background tree, but just here and there with my closer trees. I can kind of come in and add just a little bit. Little bits of details here and there, slightly brighter spots. Just here and there. And like I said, just these little extra bright spots are just where it's a little closer to the fire. You're not going to brighten up everything. But you can add little bits where the light is catching. Just brightening up some of the stuff here. Wherever you think you might see a little bit of extra light. It's probably where it is. A couple little over here. And it's okay if you're losing paint, you're just kind of tapping in these, because the more darkness I lose off this actually only helps. Because these little extra highlighty bits towards the back are going to naturally be darker since I have less paint that's bright on my brush now. Not going to do too many of those. Riverside Rest. Ooh, there's that puzzle piece. Boom. First try, got that puzzle piece out of there. Heck yeah. Alrighty. I think I should do a waterline for my water. So, let's see here. Maybe before that I should put some land behind my water. Under it, around it, something. think I need one of these. There we go. Now I can add my waterline in earnest. Although it is kind of naturally worked its way in there too. Just because I happen to have a little bit of that thinner paint on my palette knife anyway. A little bit more. Alrighty, and we are going to need title suggestions, guys. I should have probably mentioned that a little sooner as we're nearing the actual end of our painting. But we picked the title for each of the paintings as a group. So this is painting one. Oh, I might need help from one of my regulars in the comments. 116? It doesn't sound right. 115. I think it's 115. Someone who is normally here help me out. But we picked the title together. 116 for 125. And yes, drop any title suggestions in the chat. I will scroll through randomly and pick one. Wherever my finger happens to lie first is what title it will be. Sometimes it's really hard to talk and paint, guys. You don't seem to mind too much though. So I am gonna come and soften some of these bits here too. That's a bright spot for the bottom there. Keep that brightness up towards the top. It's all good though. So. I could name my paintings by myself, but it would just end up as painting number 116, since it's easier to number them than it is to actually name every single painting. So we do it as a group, and it's more fun, and I think the titles end up better anyway. So, that is what we do. I mean, I do have my painting from yesterday down here. I can always double check the number we're on. Fireside Serenity, Riverside Rest. I think I only see 2 title suggestions right now if I got all those, so drop them in. I'm going to put my palette down, give my arm a break. And I'm just going to double check real quick. Actually, I should sign my name first and then go double check the name of that other painting. I really should remember to write my name, guys. Or at least my initials. That's the... There we go. Whew. Brought my A game for signing my name today. Probably shouldn't admit it, but sometimes I struggle signing my name, and I don't understand how I could possibly struggle signing my own name when I can drop in little branchy bits, seemingly so easily. Which I should actually drop in a few more branches here and there. Can't have background branches and not have branches that are closer. That would be silly. They're coming from the shadowy places. Yeah, my branches are going to get darker pretty naturally as I run out of paint on my liner brush, and at that point I just gotta go get a little bit more. And a little paint goes a long way. I think we'd see several little branches out of these really close bushes, so that's why I'm just dropping in. Just a whole mess of sticks. I think you'd see a whole mess of sticks. So, now that I found my name and dropped in all my sticks, now I can go double check my number in here. Fire Before the Mountain, title missing now. That's a silly one. Incendi de Mondo. Oh, Mr. Frog, I am butchering that. Incendi de Mondo. Is there a phonetic spelling of that, Mr. Frog? Help a girl out. I'm gonna go check on my number real quick. Although I have a feeling Odin is probably correct. Yeah, 116. Odin was in fact correct on our number. It is 116. Incend Montaigne. Ah, cool. Is that, what language is that? It's Francois. No wonder I was having a difficult time pronouncing that. I don't know what comes out of my own mouth sometimes. Alrighty. Spin this around, and then we're gonna do the easy bits first, you know, my signature, the date, painting number, and then we're gonna come in here and we're gonna pick a title. So I hope you guys have put all your suggestions down, and if you haven't, drop them in as I'm doing this, because then we're gonna randomly select one. It's gonna happen any moment. Originality. Ugh. $116, and oh my goodness, we are in April. Oof, da. Alrighty. I'm gonna scroll to the top of any April Fool's Mountain is also a good one. I'm gonna scroll to the top of where I get up to where I first see the titles come in. And then we're gonna go a little before that, close my eyes and just scroll and stop. I say apparently scroll all the way to the bottom for April Fool's Mountain. That's just silly. How would I go and do that, Mr. Frog? I didn't think I did an all-powerful scroll, but apparently I did. I thought I did like a light to medium scroll. Nope. Scrolled so far up thinking I had plenty of scroll room, I scrolled right back down the bottom. What are the odds? I'm not someone who's gonna go do that math, but apparently we have April Fool's Mountain today. That is goofy. But you'll never forget what day it was painted on. Alrighty. And I think this also technically counts as an avatar painting. His has got earth. Theoretically, there's probably air. People can breathe, there's a fire. Earth, wind, water, fire. Don't look now. Just over an hour too. Look at that. Fancy, fancy. Little mountain peeking through that we can look at. There's some delightful trees, a cozy little campfire that someone will probably eventually come back to. I thought about putting Iroh's Rest as a title. That would have been so sweet. That would have been a good one too. If we paint another scene like this, that should definitely be brought up as a title. Because Iroh is a phenomenal character and he would absolutely rest at a place like this. Perhaps have a cup of tea and share some wisdom. Avatar or Captain Planet? Not familiar with Captain Planet. Definitely very familiar with Avatar. I have seen that series more times than I can count. So. And we're at 4,500 likes, guys. But I do believe we are done for the night, though. So I will see you guys tomorrow when we come back in for, well, who knows what we're doing tomorrow. I know I'm taking my kiddo to a doctor's appointment, but a standard checkup. So I'll have to figure out what I'm painting around there. My phone says 10K. Does it really? Mine's only saying 4.5 for the likes. That's odd. Oh. Either way, I appreciate. Okie dokie artichoke. I appreciate all the hearts and the comments and the little gifty doos. All very helpful. Appreciate everyone who came to paint our little foresty scene today. So, and I will see you all, probably all of you, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Ooh, I got a rose. Cool beans. I think that's what that was anyway. Yep, there we go. Holy cow. And then, so tomorrow's Wednesday, Thursday, so yeah, next 2 days, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for all the flowers. It's a whole bouquet. So yeah, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. What did someone tell me? Was it 7 or 6 on the West? Gosh, I can't remember. If you're in California, it's probably an hour or two before. But 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, tomorrow and Thursday. We'll see what we're doing. Pop on by. For now, have a good night. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. There we go. Odin knows. Gute Nacht, my lady. Good night, my